It's Thursday, July 8. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he is saddened about the tragic death of the late Haitian President Jovenel Moise. In a statement on Wednesday, Mr. Holness said, quote, Jamaica has always maintained a close relationship with Haiti, not just as our Caribbean neighbor, but also as our sister in CARICOM, end quote. He added, quote, we wish for the people of Haiti peace and stability at this time. Our government will continue to monitor the situation and to gather as much information as we can, end quote. Prime Minister Holness says his thoughts and prayers are with the Moise family and the government and people of Haiti. President Moise was killed in an attack at his Port-au-Prince home on Wednesday. There have been conflicting reports about his wife, First Lady Martine Moise. She was shot multiple times in the incident and has since been flown to Florida. Arrangements were made for her to be taken to Miami for treatment at Jackson Memorial Hospital. Officials said her vitals are stable but critical. A new pediatric cardiac ward and overnight parent suite is being built at the Bustamante Hospital for Children in St. Andrew. Prime Minister Andrew Holness broke ground on Wednesday for the construction of the multi-purpose building.
There is a great sense of fulfillment in announcing these redevelopment plans. The development and implementation of this new master plan continues to revitalize and improve an existing hospital infrastructure, which over time has been significantly upgraded. For example, 1991 saw major construction of the diagnostic services block, operating theater suite, accident and emergency building, specialist outpatient block, and other essential areas. Then, in November 2017, the new cardiac wing was completed. The landmark development established the first of its kind in the public health sector with a cardiac catheterization laboratory, a 10-bed cardiac ICU, and operating theater. You have already heard about the great plans that will transform this hospital into a modern, state-of-the-art facility.
The two-story facility will be built over the next 2 years at a cost of approximately $120 million. It is being developed by the National Housing Trust, NHT, in partnership with the National Health Fund, NHF, and the Southeast Regional Health Authority, SURHA. The plan is to expand ward space at the hospital to provide 100 additional beds.
So who says the government not doing anything? You didn't say that, Julian. The government is doing quite a bit. You will notice that in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I have been at these groundbreakings and handing overs and so forth. Why? Because our country is prone to fall into a negative attitude. And I have to be resisting that so that the national mood pays attention to what is the reality. A lot of things need to be done, Chris. A lot, without question. But it is also true that a lot is being done.
Information Minister Favour Williams says the government is moving to phase out physical land titles and replace them with electronic certificates. Speaking at Wednesday's post-Cabinet media brief, she indicated that Cabinet has given approval for the electronic land registration system at the National Land Agency.
Currently, Jamaica is ranked 85 out of 190 countries, and the implementation of the electronic land registration would save time, reduce human resource requirements, and provide opportunities for further collaboration with Tax Administration Jamaica and other ministries, departments, and agencies with a view to reducing or eliminating connected transactional processes external to the NLA.
The project will be implemented over 6 years and will commence in the 2021-22 financial year.
The implementation of an electronic land registration system will assist in improving Jamaica's rank in the World Doing Business report under the Registering Property Index.
More than 500 teachers and tutors have registered to participate in the government's National Summer School, which began this week. Minister of Education, Youth and Information Favour Williams gave an update at Wednesday's post-cabinet press brief. Simone Absalom Gale reports.
On Tuesday, about 58,000 students had been registered to the government's National Summer School program. Minister of Education, Youth and Information Favour Williams says more students are expected to log on in the coming days.
At the close of the day yesterday, the numbers collected from the regions showed that we had 326 schools that participated, primary schools, 36 secondary schools, 16,530 students, and 1,515 tutors.
Minister Williams had said the summer school program will provide academic enrichment activities for targeted students through its intervention framework. Under the summer initiative, students from grades 1 to 11 can access teaching and learning focused on the core subject areas such as mathematics, English language, social studies, and science.
We're seeing participation of almost 27,000 students so far into the program. As students come on, they will complete their gap tests, and then the customization of the tutoring would begin for students, and that will be ongoing. Our expectation is that as we go through the program, we will continue to see an increase in the number of students, the number of schools, number of tutors that come online, and we are happy with the start of the program. It's a major initiative for all our children in recognition of the learning loss and learning gaps that they would have been experiencing.
Minister Williams says many parents and school administrators have expressed their appreciation for the program. She says the program, especially the online aspect, will continue through the summer and beyond. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
Gas prices will see an increase this week while diesel has decreased. We get this and other market updates in this quick report from the business desk. The Tax Administration, Jamaica TAJ, has fined a taxpayer $200,000 for false declaration. In a release, it says Felicia Banton, Company Secretary of R&R Express Group Limited, was prosecuted for breaching Section 99 of the Income Tax Act, ITA. TAJ says the fine was made through its Intelligence, Investigation and Enforcement Unit, supported by the Financial Investigation Division. According to the ITA, any person who knowingly makes any false statement or representation is liable, in the case of a first offense, to a fine not exceeding $2 million and, in default of payment, liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year. The tax authority's legal counsel led evidence that for the period September 1, 2012 to August 31, 2013 and September 1, 2013 to August 31, 2014, income tax returns were filed indicating R&R Express Group Limited had conducted no business for the stated period, knowing this to be false. Ms. Banton pleaded guilty to 2 counts of making a false declaration on March 30, 2021 and was sentenced to a fine of $100,000 or 6 months on each of the 2 counts on April 21, 2021 in the Mandeville Parish Court. The fines were subsequently paid. Taxpayers are strongly advised that failure to report income, profits, or gains as defined within the Income Tax Act will result in enforcement action by TAJ utilizing the applicable provisions under the law. Effective Thursday, July 8, motorists can expect to pay more at the pumps for gasoline. According to the latest ex-refinery costs from state-owned oil refinery Petrojam, motorists should see a decrease in the price of diesel. Following increases of 99 cents and $2.94 respectively, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $153.60 and $161.72 per liter. Automotive diesel fuel saw a price decrease of 14 cents and will be sold for $143.50 per liter, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is down by 21 cents and will be sold for $152.19 per liter. Meanwhile, kerosene increased in price by 29 cents and will be sold for $121.14 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $64.20 per liter, up by 27 cents, and butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $73.17 per liter, after an increase of $2.23. Be on the lookout for price changes as marketing companies and retailers will add their markup to these prices. In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 471 points to close at over 425,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 93 stocks, of which 46 advanced, 34 declined, and 13 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 14 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Par Group Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, Burrito Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were 1834 Investments Limited, Caribbean Cream Limited, and Siboney Group Limited. Epley Caribbean Property Fund Limited (SCC) was the volume leader with over 5 million units, followed by Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited with over 2 million units, and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with 1.4 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, July 7, the US dollar sold for an average $152.69. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $123.84. The pound sterling traded for $211.50, and the euro sold for an average $180.78. In market data for oil, global stocks fell on Thursday, tracking a slump in Asia amid a widening crackdown on the tech sector in China and concern over the strength of the country's economic recovery, while oil prices also sagged on supply uncertainty. The pace of economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on inflation and central bank policymaking continues to drive markets, with the U.S. Federal Reserve overnight signaling no immediate plans to raise rates. Brent crude futures slipped 23 cents to $73.20 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude lost 33 cents to settle at $71.87 a barrel. Regionally, we get the reaction of various heads of states to the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moise. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Timothy Harris, has expressed sadness at the news of the assassination. In this report, Cynthia Teshoria presents statements from the Prime Minister and other regional heads.
Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris has conveyed sadness at the news of the assassination of Haitian President Mr. Jovenel Moise, who was killed in his home in the wee hours of Wednesday morning. The Prime Minister said, "It is with a heavy heart that I learn of the extremely sad news of the assassination of the President of the Republic of Haiti, Mr. Jovenel Moise. I also understand that the First Lady was also seriously injured in the attack and is now receiving medical treatment at the hospital. On my own behalf and that of the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis, I extend sincere condolences to the family and the people of Haiti and hope that they may find solace and comfort even during this traumatic and challenging time. We condemn this heinous and cowardly act and hope that those responsible will soon be apprehended and brought to justice." Meanwhile, the Caribbean community, CARICOM, was expected to meet on Wednesday following the assassination. Newly appointed CARICOM President Gaston Brown, the Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister, told the Caribbean Media Corporation, CMC, that he was in shock at the development, adding, "That's very, very unfortunate." He said the Savages Act is a very unfortunate development coming at a time of great instability in Haiti. Brown had told reporters following the summit that the leaders had agreed to issue a statement on the ongoing political and economic crisis in Haiti after receiving a report on the situation in that country from the expert group which was established by CARICOM leaders in February of 2021. The outgoing Haitian Prime Minister, Claude Joseph, who confirmed the assassination, has called for calm and indicated that the police and the army would maintain order. Meanwhile, the Trinidad and Tobago government said it was shocked at the tragic development in Haiti and offered deepest condolences to the family of President Moise and to the government and people of Haiti. The government said it pledges to work together with its CARICOM and other hemispheric and international partners to support Haiti in this very difficult time. Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, speaking on a state-owned DBS radio, said Haiti has been embroiled in some security and political challenges for a long time, but most specifically over the last year or so with the postponement of election and people demanding elections. Skerrit said that the regional leaders had spoken to the authorities in Haiti, but it is rather unfortunate that it has descended into the assassination of President Moise. Haiti is facing a constitutional crisis, with many Haitians saying they no longer recognize Moise because they believe his term expired on February 7th under the current constitution. Late last month, the Provisional Electoral Council announced plans to stage a constitutional referendum as well as the legislative election for the Senate and Deputy on Sunday, September 26th. Haiti had earlier announced the postponement of the constitutional referendum that was originally scheduled for June 27th. The referendum has been criticized by opposition parties which claim it had been unilaterally proposed by Moise, with the head of state indicating that the referendum was necessary as the government moves to reform the constitution. Earlier this week, Moise had appointed his 7th prime minister since coming to office in 2017. I am Jacinthia Teixeira reporting for SKN Newsline.
In the Bahamas, the Minister administration has reacted to the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moise on Wednesday. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis condemned what he called a heinous act which prompted officials to temporarily close the Bahamian embassy in Haiti. We hear more from Jasmine Brown.
Foreign Affairs Minister addressing what's happening in Haiti just hours after news broke, as he says his ministry already has a plan of action.
We call for calm in Haiti. We call for constitutional law to be observed in Haiti. We call for cooperation of all sides.
Minister Henfield reacted to the deadly attack during a signing ceremony for an economic agreement with the People's Republic of China.
I'd like also to assure Haiti of our prayers and our thoughts in this time of challenge for them.
The Haitian government confirmed on Wednesday morning that Moise was assassinated overnight during an armed attack at his private residence. His wife was shot multiple times and is hospitalized. In a statement, Interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph said the president's assassination was a highly coordinated attack by a highly trained and heavily armed group. He also vowed to bring those responsible to justice. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis released a statement around midday saying the government of the Bahamas is deeply saddened by these developments and strongly condemns the actions of the perpetrators. We offer our deepest condolences to the government and the people of Haiti. Minister Henfield expressed similar sentiments while adding that all Bahamian embassy workers are safe and the office has been closed for now.
We have instructed the closure of the embassy. We are working assiduously now on other plans as to how we move forward. We have 4 Bahamians in Haiti at the embassy, 4 diplomats. We were on the phone with them all morning, discussing the way forward. They, in the moment, are safe, and we will announce plans as we move forward.
He added that the ministry will continue to monitor the situation in Haiti. The Progressive Liberal Party also released a statement expressing shock and regret over the assassination that they labeled a heinous act of violence. Meantime, Dr. Minnis also noted that during a July Heads of Government of CARICOM meeting, the ongoing situation in Haiti was discussed and the group offered its assistance in finding a peaceful resolution to the political crisis. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The government of St. Lucia has denounced the assassination of the president of Haiti. Stanley Lucien takes a look at the Moise administration and speaks to former CARICOM ambassador to Haiti, Earl Huntley, about possible constitutional problems that may arise.
During the pre-dawn hours of Wednesday, heavily armed mercenaries made their way to the private residence of Haiti's President Jovenel Moise, fatally shooting him and seriously injuring his wife. The suspected foreign assassins then departed under the cover of darkness. Haiti has been on the brink of anarchy, with violence dominating life, particularly in the capital Port-au-Prince and other towns, leading to large groups of urban residents fleeing to other more peaceful rural communities. Jovenel Moise came to power in 2017 at another turbulent point in Haiti's history and was seen as a potential stabilizer by some. But a series of events, among them the tightening of the U.S. embargo against Venezuela, which resulted in the Petro-Caribbean arrangement coming to a premature end, caused increased hardship and further destabilization in an already impoverished Caribbean nation plagued by political instability. CARICOM's former ambassador to Haiti, Earl Huntley, says the assassination of President Jovenel Moise marks a significant escalation in the violence and disruption.
This assassination marks a dramatic increase in the insecurity which had been gripping the country recently. Only last week, the country witnessed the murder of two young journalists, one of them a female who had been an activist organizing protests against the disappearance of billions of dollars of Petro-Caribbean funds under the administration of Moise's predecessor, Michel Martelly, and their PHTK party. And 2 weeks ago, armed gangs led by an ex-policeman called Pbcj blatantly demonstrated openly in the capital with their arms against the government and the bourgeois families who control Haiti's economy. It is reported and it has been claimed that those gangs which have been terrorizing the country, particularly Port-au-Prince, were in fact being supported by some of those families and the government itself.
Huntley says the assassinated president's conduct in office, significantly his refusal to call elections, contributed to the chaos.
But Moise himself was largely responsible for the state of affairs. He had been ruling by decree from 2019 because parliamentary elections had not been organized from that time, as they should have been in 2019. He had insisted that although elected in 2016, his 5-year mandate ends in 2022 and not 2021 because he took office in 2017. This was disputed by scores of opposition groups and the constitutional experts who have been protesting against this move by Moise. But Moise had the backing of the US and the OAS and was holding on to power. Then there was his insistence of holding a referendum to change the constitution, which can be deemed to be illegal as the constitution does not allow for changes to be made by a referendum. Moise was accused by some of trying to become a dictator. At the same time, the opposition was insisting that the conditions were not right for elections in September, which Moise wanted to organize.
The finger pointing on who could have orchestrated the assassination of Haiti's president began by daylight Wednesday, with the list of suspects as varied as it is controversial.
So who could have been behind this assassination? There are many theories. Could it be some of the big bourgeois families whom he had alienated? Could it be members of his own party who were not happy with the direction in which he was going, which they thought was self-serving and not in the interest of the party, which would have damaged the party's chances in elections? Could it be opposition forces or even the drug dealers, as some are now suggesting? The circumstances of the assassination, where only Moise and his wife were attacked, are very mysterious. It is a measure of his unpopularity that there's not much mourning in Haiti for him. But Haiti is now in a dire constitutional crisis. No president, no parliament except for 10 senators, a prime minister appointed by the president on Monday, but seen as illegitimate by the opposition because they regarded the president as illegitimate. Haiti needs the help of its CARICOM family now more than ever, who up to a heads of government meeting on Monday had failed to come up with any real proposition for this crisis in a member state.
The assassination of President Jovenel Moise marks another twist in the tortured history of this troubled Caribbean nation. Stanley Lucian for the HGS News Force.
On now to sports. Japan's government on Thursday announced a new virus state of emergency that will run throughout the Olympics. This after organizers and officials met for a very difficult decision on whether to allow local spectators. With just 2 weeks until the July 23 opening ceremony, coronavirus infections are rising in the capital, and the spread of the more infectious Delta variant has spooked Japanese authorities. Organizers had hoped to allow up to 10,000 local fans into Olympic venues, but local media reported they could now ban spectators from almost all venues. Overseas spectators have already been barred, raising the prospect that Tokyo 2020 could be the first ever games held mostly behind closed doors. Japan's emergency measures are far looser than harsh lockdowns seen elsewhere, mostly limiting alcohol sales and shortening restaurant opening times. They also cap event spectators at 5,000 people. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga said the measures in place until August 22 would not interfere with holding the games. And that's a wrap for today's newscast. As always, we tell you thanks for making it PBCJ, the People's Station.